Welcome back to the ClearShot Digital Podcast. Today we're talking to Darcy Gannon, one of the duo behind the hugely popular podcast Bloody Brilliant Beers. What started out as a bit of a joke, two mates reviewing craft beers on Facebook, has morphed into a podcast with big name guests like star rugby league players and the Australian PM. I invited Darcy in to discuss his journey into podcasting, how it all started, and where he thinks the opportunities are next. Thanks for being on the show, Darcy.
It's all right, mate. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I do the ClearShot podcast because I like talking about podcast stuff.
Yep.
And I hope that people, when they listen, can make a decision about what they're doing or how they want to go about it. You've been through a pretty big journey through Bloody Brilliant Beers, so I'd love to talk about how you got started and sort of where you're up to now.
Sure. It's been 5 years since we started the show, but we originally started, Clutzy, who I do the show with, Josh, I've been mates with him since grade 8 at school, but he used to work at this burger bar in Mitchelton, Miss K's, that had different craft beers on tap and things like that. And he used to send me the funniest Snapchats. He'd like close up the bar at night and then do these craft beer reviews, but really take the piss out of them. Like often he'd be drinking straight from the tap or I don't know, in some stupid glass or something like that. And they were hilarious. And I was sort of always just drank gold, just a lager drink and never even had any sort of craft beer. And one day I went to BWS and was standing in front of the fridge and there's all this craft beer section was just full with all the different colour cans. And I was like, should try something different. You know, Clutzy's always banging on about these beers. There was all these sours, which I'd never even heard of. And I was like, if only I had a catalogue of his reviews because they were all on Snapchat. So they disappeared after you watched it. And I got home and I said to him, I was like, dude, we should start a Facebook group where you can post your videos and they'll stay. Then you can, review it, leave a thing like, this is one to get or whatever. So that was the original plan. And we invited like 5 of our mates, but made it so that friends could invite friends. And it just took off. Like I remember sitting at my old job one day and there was people who would like go and try Japanese beers and get dressed up in like a samurai outfit. And
so other people were doing reviews as well.
Like because it just grew. Like I remember sitting at work at my old job and having the group and just like pulling down to refresh it on my phone and it would jump up by like 400 members as I was doing it. Like it was crazy. And I said to Clutzy, I was like, dude, we've got something here. Like we probably need to make it more than just this group. Like if we're thinking about monetizing it and, what it could look like outside of that.
This is fun. What can we do with it?
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, let's make content around it. So the original idea was to sit down, like go out to breweries and do a tour, vlog it all, and then sit down with the head brewer or someone from the brewery and learn about their beers. Because we felt like with the craft beer stuff, there was a pretty high barrier to get into it in that a 4-pack would cost you, the price of half a carton of golds. So for us, it was like, well, do I want to spend $25, $30 on a 4-pack that might taste like shit?
Yeah.
So I was like, let's take the approach that we're like getting into that space, but also we found people in that space. It was almost a bit like Elitist. There was another like beer review group on Facebook that was massive, but they were like, someone posted, we always talk about it, a review of a Furphy, and the guy just got torn shreds off him. Like, what a shit beer. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. People are talking about mouthfeel and bitterness and blah, blah. And ours was like, it's shit, and I'm wearing a samurai costume, or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just more approachable to blokes like us. So that was the original thought. And then COVID hit because we started the podcast in Feb 2020. The group started in November the year before.
But I suppose the thing you had that a lot of people who are talking about doing a podcast, they didn't have that group.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But how many members in the group?
Well, I remember when we started it, there was like 7,000 in the group, and I was like, this is going to be so easy. Like, we're going to have 7,000 people listening to our podcast.
Of course, because you're fantastic.
Yeah, and even when we started the Instagram page, I was like, this is going to be so easy. Everyone's going to jump across. I remember when we first started the Instagram page, I think we had like 190 followers in the first week, and I was like, fuck, this really didn't like...
It didn't happen straight away.
No, not how I thought it was going to happen.
That's actually a really valuable piece of information for, like if you've got... We talk about like people with Instagram followers, and they might, or TikTok followers particularly. Social doesn't equal podcast listens. Just from
100%.
And I say that to people is this does not equal an hour of this.
Yeah, and I think like probably jumping around a bit here, but for us, pretty much we put all of our growth ever down to social media, and like we were on TikTok when it was like first in Australia and people were doing stupid dances, we were posting podcast clips, and same with Reels on Instagram when they were a thing. We were posting our clips there. And we were getting I remember looking at our professional dashboard thing on Instagram, and we were getting 10 million impressions in a month. And I just thought that was normal. And every time we had a clip go viral, it was bang, through the roof in terms of streams. But now it's I'd kill for 10 million impressions in 30 days. I feel like the whole thing sort of flipped and changed, and everyone's attention span's so low and it's so saturated that it's all changed. So I think we definitely got in and got lucky. I think it's definitely harder these days. But yeah, I remember just thinking this is going to be a piece of cake. And yeah, we I tell people this all the time, but we got 4,000 streams in our first 18 months of the podcast. And I remember sitting at 2 a.m. after work editing and listening to this other podcast being here's how you monetize your show. And they're yeah, you can sell an ad for $60 per 1,000 streams. So in my head, I'm we've been going for 18 months and I can sell this for $240 if it was every single stream ever. And I was what are we doing here? So,
well, I would like to get a bit of an understanding of your marketing push, and obviously social was a big part of that. But I think the question that would be more relevant to my guys is how much work is it? So not how to do it, but how much does that, yes, you sit down for an hour and record your show. I know you guys do 3 a week, which is heaps.
Yeah.
And good on you and congrats on that. But what's the other part of the show look like for you?
Back in the day, it was all driven through social, and that was a really easy way for us to grow. And we did. We grew really well. But now there's a lot more people doing the same thing, and socials are more saturated, and it's harder to get reach and engagement and blah, 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 blah. It's very hard to break into people's sort of rotation. People, if they go to and from work or whenever they listen to shows, people have their shows. It's Monday, this show comes out. It's Wednesday, this show comes out, blah, blah, blah. For someone to convince me to listen to a new show, it's almost got to be you need to listen to this because of this. Have you heard about what these people are doing, or did you hear this story? Going back to it, something that we always looked at from the start was how do we provide value to people? Because that's how you're going to get them to listen and to stick around, and it's entertain, educate, storytell. And obviously we're not in the education space. We talk shit at the pub, but if we can be funny and tell stories, that's what everything should ladder down from and point back to. So now it's what can we be doing in the show rather than just rocking up with no planning and talking shit, where it's oh my God, these boys, have you heard about how they're doing this? Hey, have you heard about how they're doing that? And a big thing we're trying to do this year is actually with our the guys we work with, Budgie Smuggler, work with Better and things like that, is instead of just selling them an ad read, which is what we still do, is sell them ad reads. But let's try and build something or a story, or let's do something with them that the ad reads can support. For example, we've got something in the works, very early days, don't know if it's going to happen. We want to try and have a beer in every state of Australia in 24 hours, and that's going to be brought to you by a brand.
Company.
So it's and then we'll talk about that for 8 weeks in the lead up.
You talk about the planning.
Exactly. Here's the update for this week.
What are we going to have, where are we going to do it?
Exactly right. So it's more about bringing value again at the end of the day, but really being thought out and trying to do things and a perfect example, something we did last week, which was very different to what we've ever done before, is Klutzy just made an offhanded comment on the podcast that he could tell the difference between a flat white and a latte in a takeaway coffee cup. And I called him out on it. I was bullshit, no, you can't.
Let's go.
So the next day we went to a cafe and did a blind test and got him to do it and recorded it and dropped the audio into the show and things like that. So
I suppose the fact that you're now taking this show on as a full-time gig then allows you to do that sort of stuff.
100%.
Particularly working with other brands. Let's create some stories because they have value.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. And I think creating the stories is what we need to do for the show anyway. But if we can tie in a sponsor, it's going to bring more value to them instead of just a normal ad read, which means next year when we renegotiate with them, they're going to see the value in our partnership. So yeah, there's plenty, I think and my mates give me shit about it all the time. Oh, I don't have time for that. They're mate, what are you talking about? You sit at the Caxton 3 times a week. It's we actually are pretty well thought out with a lot of the stuff we do. And that's only just the show. There's so much other stuff. I've got a list this long of stuff I haven't done, all of it, invoicing and editing and uploading and planning stuff out. So
I suppose with the social side of things, it's hard to put a limit on all the stuff you could do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. There's always more you can be doing and doing it better and
not knowing what isn't going to work is
Yeah.
a whole different
And
conversation.
that's, Matt, I used to drive myself insane trying to figure out, what we needed to be doing to get our clips more views or whatever. But now it's like, we've sort of flipped in our entire thinking. Go, at the end of the day, if our show's good, everything else will work, because then our content's going to be good, so our clips are going to be better, and our brand partners are going to be happier, so we're going to have more money coming in, which means we can bring on more people and put more effort into it and blah, blah, blah. So it all comes down to having that value in your show, I think, and in your content.
I suppose the other one I wanted to try to understand was, and I don't know if I put enough value into it, is I like this place that we record in. It's lovely and clean, and we've spent heaps of cash on the sound quality and the recording equipment. When you guys started, I assume you didn't have everything. If someone is going to have a crack at it, how much should they invest in that? What's your opinion on it now?
I look back to our early stuff, and the first episode we ever recorded was through Apple headphones onto 2 separate laptops. The second episode we ever recorded was with Dennon Kemp at his bar in Broadbeach, and the microphones we had broke, and it's literally GoPro audio. And these episodes are still live in our feed. Like, they are trash in terms of quality. I do think that, especially audio quality, like if I'm listening to a show and the audio is no good, I'm out. I'm not listening at all. I think that's number one. And I think, like, while it does require some money, you can do it relatively cheap. Like, the Rodecaster and stuff is not,
No, it's not wild.
You don't have to remortgage your house. Camera's the other thing. Like, for us, obviously, as I said, socials, and I think for everyone it's super important to have your socials firing, which means you do need good quality video. But at the same time, I've been on, like, we've done podcasts with friends, the Marty and Michael show, they film on iPhones. Like, there's ways around it. But I will say, like, I do think the biggest thing is don't wait to get that stuff. Start as soon as you can, because I guarantee you your first 10 episodes are going to be absolutely trash. Probably your first 50 episodes are going to be trash, but you're going to learn so much from editing, from uploading, from getting guests on, talking to people, even just getting more comfortable in front of the camera. I've noticed that being in here with you guys, with Kevy and Dobbo, like they've only been going for a month or whatever, and they're already so much more comfortable with each other, and those guys have worked in media forever. Like,
and their first episode was not as good as their last
100%, 100%. So, like, I do think start as soon as possible, but then also as soon as possible, making sure you're nailing the audio and the video is massive, I think.
How did you go about learning the editing, the recording? How did you
just YouTube, like YouTubed everything, and I still think there's probably things that I don't do correctly, and there'd be faster ways. Like, even coming in here, you showed me this solid state hard drive. It saved me hours and hours, and I've been doing this for 5 years. But that's the other thing. Like, I think when starting, people go, "Oh, I'm going to do this course," or blah blah blah. Like,
don't do a course.
Anything you want to do, whether it's add captions or record audio, or go to YouTube and type in how to add captions. Find someone who you like and go, how to add captions like ClearShot Digital, and there'll probably be a video of someone teaching you step by step how to do it. Like, there's so much information out there.
But the other thing is, with all of that, you can't do it until you record something.
Exactly.
So you got to get in there.
Yeah.
You got to record.
I think just starting and learning and making the mistakes is like the biggest thing ever.
Plus, like, I know you're open to it. I'm open to it. If people have questions about how to have a crack,
100%.
Please.
There's so many people, and
Please.
like there's people like I don't know if you know them, but the Alpha Blokes, Tommy and Cam from Gladstone. We started before them, and they're now literally probably the biggest podcast in Australia. Tommy used to ring me all the time asking. They never even filmed their thing. I was like, mate, you've got to get on TikTok. You've got to get on TikTok. I think their first clip got like 7 million views or something.
Course,
so like it's not, there's nothing that I'm gatekeeping or secrets.
They're obviously a different level. However, please, like Instagram,
100%. Just send us a message, and that's the other thing we found. We've worked with a lot of people who are in the space down in Sydney. Like, I think the crew down there, that's in a similar sort of space to us, the footy adjacent guys, is massive. Like, there's heaps more creators, and they're all so lovely and so willing to help, and they'll invite you on their shows, or let you use their studio, or give you connections to merch or other sponsorships, whatever. Like, everyone sort of helps each other. We fought in the Podcast Royale boxing event last year. It was just all podcasters fighting against each other. Fastest selling boxing event in Australian history, 30,000 pay-per-views, and it's like, we were literally all punching on. But everyone was like, we built this all together, but it was amazing. So everyone's like super friendly and happy to help out.
Yeah, such as this. Thanks very much, mate. I really appreciate you coming on.
No, I appreciate coming on, mate. It's fun to talk about. Like, obviously we talk shit up there at the Caxton, but this is probably the stuff that excites me a bit more, like the strategic thinking and the background stuff. So it's always fun to come and have a chat.
We're going to get you back on very soon. Thanks for your time.
Sounds good. Cheers, man.